Ever wonder what happens to NBA legends after the final buzzer? Hakeem, the Dream Olajuwon, just keeps winning. And now, at over 60, the way he's living is nothing short of unbelievable. His footwork was legendary, his shot blocking unstoppable, but his moves in real estate just as smooth. When Hakeem was dominating in the NBA, he wasn't just focused on basketball. He was already thinking ahead. Most athletes wait until retirement to figure out their next step, but not Hakeem. While perfecting his dream shake, he was also studying the real estate market, making moves before most players even realized they needed a backup plan. He knew the game of basketball wouldn't last forever, so he made sure his next chapter was just as strategic as his play on the court. Instead of waiting for financial advisors to tell him what to do, he educated himself. He studied investments, learned the ins and outs of real estate, and made calculated decisions that would set him up for life after basketball. But before all that, Hakeem's journey to basketball greatness was anything but ordinary. Born in Lagos, Nigeria in 1963, he grew up playing soccer, which helped develop the incredible footwork that would later define his basketball career. It wasn't until he was 15 that he even picked up a basketball, and at first he was just another tall kid trying to figure things out. But his natural athleticism and relentless work ethic set him apart. He eventually moved to the U.S. to play college basketball at the University of Houston, where he quickly became a dominant force. Teaming up with Clyde Drexler, he led the Cougars to 3 straight Final Fours, wowing crowds with his agility and skill. By the time the 1984 NBA draft rolled around, he was the obvious choice for the Houston Rockets, going number 1 overall, yes, even ahead of Michael Jordan. From that moment on, his legacy was set in motion. And once he made it to the league, he didn't waste a second. From the moment he stepped on the court for the Rockets, Hakeem played with a rare combination of skill, intelligence, and determination. His footwork was unmatched, his defense was suffocating, and his presence in the paint was enough to make even the best players think twice before driving to the hoop. He became a 2-time NBA champion, a league MVP, and one of the greatest centers to ever play the game. But while most players were solely focused on basketball, Hakeem was thinking bigger. He knew championships and accolades were great, but they wouldn't pay the bills forever. He had seen too many athletes make millions and then lose it all. He wasn't about to let that happen to him. Think about it. Most guys spend their entire careers just trying to stay in the league, maybe buying a few flashy cars or a mansion along the way. But Hakeem, he was reading about investments, understanding the value of land, and figuring out how to turn his basketball earnings into something that would last. He wasn't just making money, he was making sure his money worked for him. And when he finally hung up his sneakers, he didn't just sit back and relax, he doubled down. Houston, the city where he made his name, became his playground once again. Only this time, instead of swatting shots, he was scooping up real estate. And he didn't just throw money around like some retired athletes do. He learned the game inside and out, studying market trends, negotiating deals, and making smart, calculated moves. Most people don't realize this, but Hakeem didn't wait until retirement to start investing. Even while he was playing, he was buying land, learning about commercial properties, and setting himself up for success. The best part? He wasn't just following advice from financial advisors. He was putting in the work himself. Some of his early deals were absolute game changers. He saw value in land that others ignored. He had a knack for spotting properties that could explode in value. He bought large plots of land in Houston and turned them into high-end developments. While some athletes blow through millions, Hakeem was quietly making millions off the court, all because he had the patience and vision to invest wisely. But here's the thing, real estate isn't always a slam dunk. Just like basketball, it comes with ups and downs. Markets crash, deals fall through, and even the best investments can go sideways. But Hakeem, he handled it like a true champion. The same patience, discipline, and strategy that made him unstoppable on the court helped him navigate the business world. He didn't panic, didn't make reckless decisions. He adapted, learned, and kept building. At one point, Houston's real estate market took a hit. Investors panicked, people were losing money, but Hakeem stayed calm. He understood that just like in basketball, you don't let one bad quarter ruin the whole game. He waited, he adjusted, and when the market bounced back, he was in prime position to win big. What makes Hakeem's story even cooler is that he never forgot where he came from. He didn't just use his wealth to live large, he used it to give back. Instead of hoarding knowledge, he became a mentor. Younger players looked up to him, not just for his footwork, but for his wisdom. He taught them about the game beyond basketball, the importance of financial literacy, smart investments, and planning for life after the league. And this is where Hakeem really separates himself from the rest. A lot of athletes give advice after they retire, but Hakeem was living proof of what he preached. He didn't just tell players to invest, he showed them how. Some of the biggest names in the league would fly out just to talk to him, not for flashy investment tips, but for real practical knowledge. He wasn't selling a get-rich-quick scheme, he was teaching them discipline. Imagine being a young player in the NBA, making millions for the first time in your life. It's easy to spend recklessly, trust the wrong people, or assume the money will last forever. Hakeem had seen it happen too many times, so he made it a point to mentor those willing to listen. He talked to players about building wealth the right way, owning assets that appreciate, understanding the risks of bad investments, and thinking long-term. It's no surprise that guys like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Dwight Howard sought him out, not just to learn his iconic post moves, but to soak up his wisdom. Kobe, in particular, was fascinated by Hakeem's attention to detail, both on and off the court. They spent hours together, breaking down footwork, but also talking about the mindset of success. Hakeem wasn't just teaching basketball, he was teaching life. Even now in his 60s, Hakeem still carries himself with the same poise and discipline that made him a legend. He travels between Houston and Jordan, balancing business, family, and faith. He's deeply connected to his roots, staying true to his religious beliefs and using them as a guide in everything he does. While some retired players struggle to find purpose after basketball, Hakeem found his purpose long ago. And let's be real, he could have easily just sat back and enjoyed retirement. He could have lived off his NBA wealth, traveled the world, and relaxed. But that's not who he is. He's a builder, a strategist, a guy who thrives on making things happen. Even when he's not in the spotlight, he's still making an impact. Whether it's in business, in basketball, or in his community, Hakeem commands respect. Not just because of what he did in the NBA, but because of how he's lived his life. People who meet him now are amazed. He still moves like an athlete, still has that sharp mind, and still carries himself like the legend he is. He doesn't seek attention, but when he speaks, people listen. Whether it's in a business meeting, a basketball gym, or a community event, Hakeem is the kind of person who leaves a lasting impression. Hakeem's story isn't just about basketball or real estate, it's about vision, discipline, and longevity. It's about knowing when to pivot, how to adapt, and how to stay relevant long after your playing days are over. So next time you hear the name Hakeem Olajuwon, don't just think about the Hall of Famer with the smoothest footwork in NBA history. Think about the guy who mastered the art of reinvention, a legend on the court, a powerhouse in business, and a mentor who proves that true success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about what you build after. And if there's one lesson to take from Hakeem's journey, it's this. The game doesn't end when the buzzer sounds, it just changes. What you do after determines the legacy you leave behind. If that's not inspiring, I don't know what is. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into Hakeem Olajuwon's incredible life after basketball, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. We'll be bringing you more legendary stories just like this. See you in the next one.